Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 17th January today, and in this video we are going to solve different types of questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. Before we'll start solving these questions, I would like to give the brief introduction about this video, about this initiative to you guys, so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with it. Basically in this video we discuss three types of questions, and those questions are from three different sources. In the first set of questions which we are going to discuss here, we take up the questions from the current affairs. What we do, we take up the most important articles from the newspapers, we break them down into the simplest language possible, and we try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular articles, so that it will give you the idea how the questions can be asked from these particular articles, what should be your approach when you are reading the newspaper, which articles are important for your preparation. This is what we are going to understand in the first part of our discussion. After discussing questions with respect to current affairs, we will take up the another part of our discussion where we will discuss questions with respect to static topics. We are doing this from last 2 to 3 months now, and we started with Indian polity. Right now we are discussing the office of the president. Today we are going to take up some concepts from the office of the president under Indian constitution and try to derive the possible prelims questions from those particular topics, so that it will give the idea how the questions can be asked from these particular topics, from these particular static topics. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static topics, we will shift our approach to the another part of our discussion where we will take up some previous year questions. What we are going to do, what we will do, we will take up some previous year questions. We will try to understand the vocabulary which the UPSC uses in framing the questions. We will try to understand different methods, which the different trends which the UPSC uses, and we will try to understand, suppose if we don't have the proper knowledge about the question, how still we can solve these questions, and we will try to understand how we can implement this knowledge in the upcoming exam. So this is in a nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now, before we will start solving these questions, I would like to request you guys, please. I would like to request you guys one important thing, and that is please start noting down these questions. Develop your own question bank. When you have these questions with you, when your exams would be near, I'm talking about the month of May. At that time, you are left with only few days, and it is human desire that we want to revise everything what we have studied, but the time does not permit us at that time. So what will you do? What you can do? If you have these questions with you, you would just revise these questions. These questions will connect you with the current affairs. It will connect you, these questions will connect you with the static topics. They will connect you with the previous year question analysis, and they are going to boost your confidence before entering the exam hall. And also, as we know what are the sources of our questions, there are chances that these questions can coincide in the exam also. That means, who knows, many questions which the examiner is going to frame for you, maybe they will coincide with these questions which we discuss here. If not the questions, but at least the statements can coincide. If not the statements either, trust me, these would be the concepts which they are going to ask you guys. So this is my sincere request to you guys. Please note down these questions, develop your own question bank which you will revise before your exams are there. With this, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel. When you subscribe, it helps channel to grow. Please hit the like button, share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative, and also do write in the comments what do you feel about the video. Now with this, let's start with the first question which we had brought today. As you can see here on the screen, the question is with respect to exchange rate. Why we had brought this question here? Because there was an article in the newspaper which talked about how what would be the impact of rupee weakening. If you would have seen newspaper, if you would have followed the newspaper, you would have seen that Indian rupee has depreciated to the highest level. The weakening of Indian rupee, weakening of Indian rupee. Indian rupee. It has depreciated to the highest level. Right now, the value of Indian rupee, with respect to dollar, is $1 will cost 86 rupees. And it is expected that it will touch very soon. It will touch 90, and it may go out of hand after that. So, what can be the impact of this as the Indian rupee is weakening to the highest level? if we will analyze the article, it has highlighted various concepts in it. It has highlighted the nominal exchange rate, what is this, the real exchange rate, what is this. It has highlighted how does the RBI respond to it, what are the various, what are the various methods, how RBI manages these forex exchange, what are the different methods. It has explained that also. Now, and also it gave us the reason what can be the impact of it. Here first we will analyze what can be the impact of the rupee weakening with respect to dollars. Suppose the Indian rupee is weakening. Suppose here is some company who is very much import dependent. There is a company who is very much import dependent, and they are importing from the foreign countries. So for them, if the rupee is weakening, it is going to impact their financial resources, and what they were importing for lesser money, they have to spend more on that. Once they will start importing more from the foreign countries, once they will start importing more from the foreign companies, it is directly going to its impact will be directly found on the consumer price. It is going to lead the inflation. It will lead to the inflation in our country. This is one of the worst impact of the weakening of rupee. At the same time, it is not always the weakening of rupee is always a problem, as the article also highlighted. It also highlighted the another aspect of weakening of the rupee, as this article was more focused on what are the disadvantages of it. That's why we took the disadvantage part here. This article, it also highlighted what can be the good advantages of once the rupee is weakening, and those are, and that is, once the rupee will weaken, it will lead to more exports in our, it can lead to more exports in our country, as as it would be, the market in India would be more financially viable for the foreigners. So it can lead to the more exports in our country, and it can definitely benefit the economy of our country. So these are the two impacts which the weakening of money can lead to. Here majorly, as it is much related to the worst impact of it, it is related to here. The major concept, major focus was on the inflation. That is why this whole discussion is related to that. So this is what the impact of weakening of Indian rupee would lead to. Now, this itself is not that important. In this article, it is not the only important thing which the author mentions. There were a few concepts which I believe you should know, which can be very much relevant for your prelims preparation. The one major concept which the author highlighted was the nominal exchange rate. What is that? Nominal exchange rate. So here we need to know about what this nominal exchange rate is. In nutshell, in simpler terms, if I will explain you that, how much money do you need, how much Indian rupees do you need to buy a dollar? This is nominal exchange rate. Then the another term which the author mentioned about was the real exchange rate. What is this real exchange rate? It is basically more related to the purchasing power parity of the rupee. How much is the purchasing power of the currency? It is more related to that. For example, if there is any good which is sold in USA market, how much it would cost there if the customer will buy it in dollars, and same product if sold in India, how much it will cost us here. We can take an example of burgers also, as it is given Maharaja burger, and there we have the burger which will cost, how much it will cost in US market and how much it will cost in Indian market. So it is this real exchange rate, it is more related to the purchasing power parity of the currency. These were two important concepts related to this topic. The first concept, it was what would be the impact of it. It can weaken, it can lead to the inflation in the country, and also at the same time it can increase the exports in the country. Second important terms which we understood till now, the nominal exchange rate and the real exchange rate. What is the difference? The nominal exchange rate is how many dollars you can buy for how much money you can buy a dollar, and also the real exchange rate, what is the rate of the same product which is sold in the US market or any market with respect to Indian market. So these are few concepts which were mentioned in this article. And also this article further discussed about what are the different ways by which RBI can manage these forex exchange. In which ways the RBI can manage these forex exchange. There are few different methods used by the RBI till now. For example, the first method, it is called as fixed exchange rate regime. It is called as fixed exchange rate rate regime. In this, what the RBI is going to do, whenever there is a fluctuation in the forex market, what RBI will do, it will sell the accumulated forex reserves, but at the same time it will not touch the nominal exchange rates. Nominal exchange rate will remain same, it will not touch that, but what RBI is going to do, it will sell the accumulated forex reserves. So this is what, whenever there is this is what fixed exchange rate regime is about. In the fixed exchange rate regime, what the RBI is going to do, they will sell the accumulated forex reserves what they have, and they will not touch the nominal exchange rate. Then there is another way in which RBI can manage forex exchange. It is called floating exchange regime. It is called floating exchange regime. In it, they will what they are going to do, they are going to devalue the domestic currency. There would be in the floating exchange regime, in the floating exchange regime, what they are going to, devalue domestic currencies. Then the third important way in which it can be done, it is called managed floating exchange rate regime. It is called managed floating exchange rate regime. In this method, what the RBI does, first of all, it was introduced from 1990s, in which it is going to sell it is going to sell the accumulated forex reserves, and at the same time it is going to devalue the domestic currencies to maintain the stability. In it, it is going to add both. It is going to this managed floating exchange rate regime. It involves both fixed exchange rate regime and the floating exchange regime, that is devalue domestic currency as well as sell the accumulated forex reserves. So these were the concepts which I need you should know with respect to this article. So let us recap what we had understood from this article, why we had brought this question. There was this article, it talked about the weakening of Indian rupees, and it has reached to the highest low, as it has $1 will cost 86 rupees. That low it has reached, and it is expected that it will go beyond that. After that, this article discussed what could be its impacts. It can lead to inflation in our country, and also it can lead to, if the conditions align correctly, it can lead to the increase in exports in our country. Then the second thing, we discussed about two important terms with respect to exchange rate. One is nominal exchange rate, what does that mean? And we discussed about the real exchange rate, what does that mean? After that, we saw what are the different methods available to RBI to manage the forex exchange, and they are the fixed exchange rate, in which they sell the accumulated forex reserves. Then we have floating exchange rate, in which they devalue domestic currency. Then we have managed floating exchange rate regime, in which they combine the both. They will devalue the domestic currencies, and as well as they will sell the accumulated forex reserves. These were important concepts related to this article. Now with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding why we had brought this question. Now let's try to solve this question and understand more about it. Here the question says, with reference to the exchange rates, consider the following statements. This is the perfect prelims question which we had brought today. Here the first statement says, a rise, you have to understand it, a rise in the nominal exchange rate. Here let's visualize it. A rise in the nominal exchange rate. We saw what nominal exchange rate is. It is the value of the money with respect to other money. For example, there is a rise in the nominal exchange rate. As right now, what is doing the rise in the nominal exchange rate, as Indian rupee has reached 86. So this is increasing, that is rupee is weakening. Rate of the Indian rupee against the US dollar implies that 1 rupee can buy more dollars. Totally incorrect. 1 rupee can't, you need more rupees to buy a dollar. So this statement is incorrect, as the nominal exchange rate has increased for the Indian rupee against the US dollar. It means that you will need more dollars, more rupees to buy $1. So this statement is totally incorrect. That we had understood from this discussion also. Then the second statement, it says the real exchange rate adjusts the nominal exchange rate for differences in price levels between the two countries. 100% correct. It is related to the purchasing power of the currency. Then the third statement, it says if the nominal exchange rate remains constant. Suppose this nominal exchange rate remains constant, it is 70, nothing changed with it, but domestic inflation is higher. And another thing, exchange rate is, let's break down this question. Nominal exchange rate, it is constant. Nominal exchange rate very much constant, so nothing wrong with it. Second, domestic inflation is higher. The inflation in our country, the domestic inflation, it is higher. The prices are increasing. Then foreign inflation, and the prices of the products in the foreign, that is lower. So what we can get from here, the real exchange rate will decrease. Now we have to say whether the real exchange rate will decrease here or it will increase. It is definitely going to increase. The real exchange rate will increase here, not decrease. So this statement is also incorrect, because the real exchange rate is the how much, how much, as there is inflation in our country, as there is inflation in our domestic market, and there, with respect, as our inflation is higher with respect to foreign inflation. For example, if there is lesser inflation in USA, for example, if you have to buy the burger and food inflation is less there, suppose it will cost $5, and $5 there, or we can say, if we will convert it into rupees, it will cost somehow around, I guess, 600. Let's suppose it is 600 rupees there, suppose, if we will convert it into Indian rupees. And same, and in the domestic market, the inflation is higher. The inflation is higher, as it says, in the domestic market the inflation is higher. As earlier it used to be 200 rupees, now it is, the same burger will cost 400 rupees in India, as earlier it used to be 200. Here we are discussing the concept of purchasing power parity. So what will be the impact on real exchange rate? The real exchange rate will not decrease. The real exchange rate will definitely increase. It will definitely increase. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option B only, that is option 2 only, that is option B. With this, I hope you had understood the question, you had understood the context of this question, and also these concepts which we discussed here. With this, let's move to the another question and see what we had brought today. Now with this, let's try to solve this question which we had brought here. As you can see here, the question is basically about the relationship between India and European Union. Now you may ask me a question here, sir, what was the need of this question? Why we had brought this question here? Because there was an article which talked about an alliance of democracies with India at its core. You know, we can say title of the article is an alliance of democracies with India at its core. So what does this article talk about? You know, it is written by an author. Basically, this man is from European Union itself, from a country in European Union itself. Now let us see what does he say. What are his views with respect to this? You know, he basically, if we will be very much straightforward, what does he said? He said that the world right now is divided into two parts. World is divided into two parts. One part is does belong to those countries who follow democracies, and the another part, it is of the autocratic rulers, we can say. It believes in autocracies. So the world is divided into two parts, two blocks, we can say, democracies and autocracies. And according to him, it is the proper time, it is the best time for India, as India is the largest democracy in the world, one of the largest democracy in the world. It is best time for India to align with the democracies. In a nutshell, what does he mean here? He says that it is better time for India, it is proper time for India to align with the US, to align with UK, to align with European Union. But to this argument of the author, there are certain concerns which we need to discuss here. You know, India's approach has been always different. As you might remember that once Jai Shah said that European Union, they had always thought that their problems are the problems of the world. When it was time, when European Union was blaming India for not responding to the Russia versus Ukraine war, for not condemning the Russia. So with respect that, the Jai Shah said that European Union, or we can say the West, they had always believed that their problems are the problems of the world, but the time has changed right now. The India, where we will find our interests, we will have such relationship with them. So with respect to that, with respect to that, we need to understand that the we India, we believe in multi alignment. We believe in multi alignment. We don't want to, we don't want to go against any countries. Even though we have problems with China, even though we have problems with many countries, but at the same time, if we have our interests with them, we'll always try to work with them. We'll always try to respond to them. We'll always try to cooperate with them. We will never take any country as our enemy. We will try our best to maintain our relationship. This has been our approach, and this will be our approach, that we will be always multi aligned. But this author, he also highlighted the importance of India and European Union, the importance of relation between India and European Union, on which we need to work, because we can get more from European Union. Same does European Union can get more from Indian markets. It is the proper time in which we need to align with the European Union in the trade perspective, not in the security perspective. But the other statements which he gave, suppose like that world is divided into two blocks, that is very much absurd. This block system itself created the World War II. It was the main reason for the World War II. So with respect to this, we need to understand, let's try to solve this question and understand more about the trade relation between India and European Union. As here we can see the question here. It says, regarding the trade relation between India and the European Union, which of the following statements are correct? First statement: the European Union is currently India's largest trading partner, surpassing both the United States and China. Totally incorrect. It is not so. This statement is incorrect. Second statement: negotiations for a comprehensive free trade agreement between India and European Union have been ongoing for over a decade, facing challenges related to tariffs, intellectual property rights, and sustainable development. 100% correct. These are the challenges with respect to the trade agreement which we are negotiating from decades now. So this statement is correct. Third statement: the India European Union Trade and Technology Council was recently established to address strategic challenges related to trade, trusted technology, and security. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3. Why we had discussed this question? Because the author, he highlighted that right now the world is divided into two blocks: democracies and authoritarianism, and it is proper time for India, as it is the largest democracy. It should align with the democratic part, which is in the democratic part, what are the countries? For example, US, UK, and the European Union countries. And who are the authoritarian countries? It is basically talking about Russia, China, and North Korea, and other countries like them. So this is what the author says, and this is not good for India, because we believe in multi alignment. We believe in, where we have our interests, we will work with them, whether they are enemies to other countries or not. We don't go into that discussion. So with this, I hope you had understood the question and also the context of this question. With this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Now here we have the question with respect to cyclone Dana. Let's understand few important points with respect to it. About cyclone Dana, it originated in the North Indian Ocean. Second, it is the first post monsoon. It is the first cyclone post monsoon season. It is the first cyclone found after post monsoon season. And what are the states in India it impacted? It is Odisha and West Bengal. So about it, we need to understand its naming. Which country has named it as Dana, cyclone Dana? It is Qatar, which has named it as so. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option 4. So with respect to this, when this cyclone hit Odisha, it led to various disasters. It led to a disaster there. And with respect to the disasters in Odisha, as we know that Odisha is one of the states in our country which is very prone to cyclones. And we also know that from history, in 1999 it was hit by super cyclone, in which more than 10,000 people died. Once that cyclone hit Odisha, they realized that there is the importance of there is an importance of multi-purpose shelters. So they started building these multi-purpose shelters near the coastline, so that once such cyclones will come, they can easily relocate people in these shelters. But this cyclone which has hit recently, this cyclone Dana, it has showed the weakness, that it has showed that it is right time for the Odisha government to work on it, as the management of these multi-purpose shelters it is the management of these multi-purpose shelters was exposed by this cyclone Dana. So it is prior time for Odisha to understand it and start investing, or we can say start working more on such multi-purpose shelters. So with respect to that, now the Odisha government has decided to build 500 new such disaster shelters. Now Odisha government has decided to build 500 new such shelters. So this is in a nutshell about this question which we had brought here, which we discussed here. And which is the country which has named it as Cyclone Dana? It is Qatar. It has named it as Cyclone Dana. With this, let's move to the another question and try to solve it. Here the question is with respect to India-Singapore trade relations. Why we had brought this question here? Because Singapore president is visiting India to celebrate 60th anniversary of India and Singapore diplomatic relations. So for that, the Singapore president, he is visiting India to celebrate 60th anniversary of India and Singapore diplomatic relations. He met Narendra Modi, and he highlighted that how in 1966, when the Singapore got independence, in 1966, when the Singapore got independence, how India was the first country to recognize it. It highlighted that how India has been always important to Singapore. Also about Singapore, we know that it is the Southeast Asian country. As our policy, as one of the policy of the government is Act East policy, and Southeast Asia is the major concern with respect to that policy. So having a good relationship with Singapore is always nice for us. And also about Singapore, it is the major financial hub for India. It is the not only for India, for the world. We get FDI inflows. It is from Singapore. It is one of the top countries from where we get the FDI inflows. And also Singapore is the global leader in semiconductor manufacturing. So right now it is prime time for India to collaborate with Singapore. We can extract much from them. So with respect to this, let's try to understand this question and see where we had been till now with respect to Singapore. As the question says, with reference to India-Singapore trade relations, consider the following statements. First statement: Singapore is India's largest trading partner within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. 100% correct. It is the India's largest trading partner within the ASEAN countries. Second statement: the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement between India and Singapore was signed in 2005 and has been subsequently reviewed and expanded. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement either. Then the third statement, it says Singapore has consistently been among the top sources of foreign direct investment into India. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement either. So with respect to this question, all the three statements are correct. And why we are discussing this? Because the president of the Singapore, he has visited India on the 60th anniversary of India-Singapore relationship. He highlighted how India has been important for Singapore since its independence, as India was the first country, one of the first countries to recognize Singapore. So with this, let's move to the another question and see what we had brought on the next. Here the question is with respect to the Namo drone Didi scheme. Let's understand what it is, what it deals with. This Namo drone Didi scheme, it is a central sector scheme. About this, we should know that it is a central sector scheme. It is central sector scheme. It is implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, implemented by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It is launched by Modi government, and it comes under the National Rural Livelihood Mission. It also comes under National Rural livelihood mission. So in this, the government provides massive subsidies to the woman-led self-help groups to buy these drones, which they can rent to the farmers during the agriculture seasons. So in that way they can empower the woman. Woman can they it will help increasing the income of the woman, and it is basically related to woman-led self-help groups. So this is very simple introduction about this, which sector it is. It is central sector scheme. In it, the government gives subsidies to these women to buy these drones, which they can rent to farmers, and by this way they can increase the income of the woman. They can empower the woman. So with this, let's try to solve this question and get more idea about it. Here the question says, what is the primary objective of the Namo Drone Didi scheme? First, to empower financial assistance to women-led self-help groups. Second, to promote the use of drone. First, to empower financial assistance to women-led self-help groups. It is half correct, but purpose is not given here. The objective is not given here, but it is to assist. It is to help to. It is to empower financial assistance to women-led self-help groups. For what, it is not given. So this statement is incorrect. Second statement, to promote the use of drone technologies in agriculture. Even though the drone technologies which they are going to use in this, they are going to use them in the agriculture, but it is not the primary objective. The primary objective is to empower women-led self-help groups. Then the third statement, to empower women-led self-help groups by equipping them with agriculture services. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct the correct statement is option C. They will be given the drones by equipping them with the drones for agriculture services. Sorry, it is drones here for agriculture services. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option C. So with this, we understood. I hope we had understood about the Namo drone scheme. Why we had brought this question. Why we had brought this question, because there was mention about the Namo drone scheme. As it is about about Namo drone scheme. It is the central sector scheme in which the huge subsidies would be given to the women-led self-help groups, by women-led self-help groups, and so that they will buy these drones which they can rent to the farmers. And with respect to this question, the correct statement is option C, which is to empower women-led self-help groups by equipping them with the drone technology. By equipping them with the drone technologies, drone technology is to provide agricultural services. Drone technology is to provide agricultural services. Sorry, I had not wrote this statement properly here. So drone technology, it is to empower women-led self-help groups by equipping them with the drone technologies to provide agricultural services. So with this, I hope you had understood the question, and with this, let's move to the last question from the current affairs part, and after that we will shift to the statics part. Now the question which we had brought here, and this would be the last question with respect to the current affairs. It is about the appointment of the judge to the Supreme Court of India. Why we had brought this question here? Because recently the new Supreme Court judge was appointed, and he is the 33rd judge of our country right now, of the Supreme Court right now. And here you need to know that it is the highest limit for the judges in our Supreme Court is 34, and it is decided by the Parliament. So here, by this question, we will understand how the Supreme Court judge is appointed. Who recommends this? If we will look at the appointment, it is the president who appoints him. The final say is of the president. It is the president who appoints the Supreme Court judge. But who recommends this appointment? It is recommended by the collegium, and this collegium we will understand through this question who are the members of this collegium. We will discuss this topic in detail when we will reach to the Supreme Court in our static topic discussion, but here let's get the simple ideas as it is required right now. Here the question says, the appointment of the judges to the Supreme Court of India is based on the collegium system. Which of the following statements accurately describe a key aspect of this system? First statement, The Chief Justice of India is solely responsible for recommending names to the President. No, he is not solely responsible. He needs assistance from few others that we will see who are they. Second statement, the Law Minister has the final authority. Totally incorrect. Fourth statement, the Parliament holds a vote to ratify the appointment recommended by the Collegium. They can try their best, but they don't have the final say. So this is also incorrect. Fourth, the Collegium comprises the Chief Justice of India and four senior most judges of the Supreme Court. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the most accurate is the statement C, which is the Collegium comprises the Chief Justice of India and four senior most judges of the Supreme Court. So with this, I hope you had understood this question. With this, we complete the discussion with respect to current affairs topics, which we had brought today. Here, I would like to mention that, I hope you had understood them very properly. I had tried my best to explain them. If I had lagged anywhere, please do write in the comments. Actually I was not feeling that well, so I myself feel that maybe the discussion was not that good, but I hope you had understood them. If I was if I was not able to explain the points somewhere, or if I had created any confusion anywhere, please do write in the comments. We will try to clear that. Now with this, let's move to the another part of our discussion where we will solve this static topic which we had brought today. As right now we are discussing the President of India, we are discussing the President, and in Indian, with respect to Indian President, we saw that how he is the ceremonial head, how he is the de jure, and we also discussed the Westminster democracy which we had borrowed from the Britain, how he is very much similar to the monarch in Britain, but only difference is the monarch is hereditary post and president is elected. So with respect to this, we discussed the article 53, 52, we discussed article 53, we discussed article 54 in our recent classes, and article 55. Now here I want to make you understand that about the election of president, who is the party which is responsible for conducting the election of the president. It is under article 324. It is under article 324(1). It is the Election Commission of India. Under article 324 of the Indian Constitution, it is the Election Commission of India who is vested with the power of superintendence, direction and control of conducting the elections to the office of the president, vice and the vice president of India. It is the under this article, it is Election Commission of India who has the power to conduct the elections of the office of the president and vice president of India. And also with respect that the detailed provisions are made under the Presidential and Vice Presidential Elections Act 1952, and further the detailed provisions are made into the president's and vice president's Elections Act of 1952. So which is the authority which is responsible for conducting the elections of the president? It is the Election Commission of India under 320 under Act 324. So with this, let us solve this question, and we will shift to the another part of our discussion. Here the question says the election of the President of India is governed by a specific legislative framework. Which of the following acts regulate the elections of the President of India? Is it the representation of no? Is it representation of people Act 1951 or 50? Neither them. Is it the Election Commission of India Act 1950? No. Then what is it? It is the Presidential and Vice Presidential Elections Act 1952, and also it is very much clearly mentioned under Article 324(1), where the Election Commission of India is responsible for conducting the elections of the president and vice president. So with this, the correct option to this question is option 3, which is the correct statement is statement 3, and the correct option is option C. And also here, as I told you, I'm not feeling that well today, so I guess this much discussion is enough for today. Tomorrow we will discuss more about it. We will discuss about if there is any dispute with respect to the elections of the president, and then we will discuss about about the how the parties, when when the members of the parliament vote for the election, vote for the president, are they are they bound to follow the whip of the government? We will understand that in tomorrow's discussion. for today, I guess this much is important. So with this, let's move to the last part of our discussion, where we will solve a previous year. The last question of today's discussion, as it is from the previous year question book. Now let's solve it. Before we will solve it, I will give you little bit idea why we had brought this question. Basically, we discuss the previous year questions with respect to every book, which is every subject which is important for you to clear the previous year exam. We had discussed previous year questions with respect to ancient history, with respect to medieval, modern, and also freedom struggle. Right now we are discussing the physical geography based questions, and this question was asked in year 2002. So let's solve this question and get more idea about it. Here the question, it is about the solar system. It gives us the idea that if you are the future aspirant, you need to read about the solar system. You need to go as deep as this question here mentions you. Let us see what does the question say. The question says, the first statement, the earth is densest of all the planets in our solar system. So this statement 100% correct. It is the densest of all the planets in our solar system. Earlier it used to be Pluto, but as it is not the planet anymore, so it is the earth who is the densest of all the planets in our solar system. Second statement, it says the predominant element in the composition of earth is silicon. No, it is not silicon, but it is oxygen. How much? It is almost 46%. 46% is earth is made up of oxygen. Then after that it is silicon. After oxygen it is silicon, which is about 28%. And after that it is aluminum. It is 8%. So these three you need to know. Then the third statement, the sun contains 75% of the mass of our solar system. It is totally incorrect, as sun is huge. It contains almost 99% of the mass of the solar system. So this statement is also incorrect. Second statement is also incorrect. Third statement, the diameter of sun is 190 times that of the earth. Totally incorrect. It is very absurd. The diameter of sun is huge. It would approximately fit 13 lakh earths in it. So we can assume what would be the diameter of the sun. So with respect to this question, this statement is also incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option A. The earth is the densest of all the planets in our solar system. With this, we complete today's discussion. I hope you would like the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. And about the diameter of the earth, it is approximately 5.52. It is the diameter of earth. After that it is Venus, whose diameter is 5.50. It is 5.52. After that it is 5.50 Venus. Then it is Mercury, which is 5.27. It is density, sorry, it is about density. After Mercury it is Mars. It is density is 3.26. So these are the densities of the planets in according to the decreasing order. So earth is the densest planet and its density is 5.52. With this, I would like to say goodbye to you guys. See you next time, maybe tomorrow. Till then, take care.